This is Danielle Yawowiecka with the BBC News. Hello. The United States' first ever trial in a constitutional climate lawsuit has got underway in the state of Montana. The landmark case was brought by 16 young people who are suing state officials for allegedly violating their constitutional right to a clean and healthy environment by supporting policies in favour of fossil fuels. Tom Bailey reports.
The young activists are seeking to hold the state accountable for policies that they claim exacerbate global warming and threaten their futures. In an emotional testimony, the lead claimant Ricky Held told a packed court in the state capital Helena that climate change has already led to severe conditions on her family's ranch, threatening their livelihoods and well-being. Opening the defence, Montana's Assistant Attorney General argued the state's emissions were too minuscule to make any difference in the climate crisis and that it was a global issue.
President Zelensky has acknowledged the battles being fought in Ukraine's counter-offensive against Russian forces are tough. In his nightly address, he thanked those taking part and said the enemy's losses were exactly what Ukraine needed. Ukraine's Deputy Defence Minister said over the past week troops had retaken 90 square kilometres. The American Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the US will continue to maximise support for Ukraine as it seeks to retake lands occupied by Russia. Mr. Blinken reiterated the support of the US and other allies for Kyiv was enduring.
Ukraine's success in the counteroffensive would do two things. It would strengthen its position at any negotiating table that emerges, and it may have the effect as well of actually causing Putin to finally focus on negotiating an end to the war that he started.
Mexico's foreign minister and the mayor of the country's capital are resigning from their posts in order to enter the race for the presidency. Both are vying to be chosen as candidate for the Morena party of the incumbent President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Will Grant reports from Mexico City.
Mexico's foreign minister, Marcelo Ebrard, and the mayor of Mexico City, Claudia Sheinbaum, are the two frontrunners for the presidency in next year's election. Now, in keeping with protocol, both have stood down from their respective roles ahead of primaries for the governing party Morena. Party officials said that all prospective candidates should resign from public office this week ahead of a decision in early September. Mr. López Obrador cannot stand next year. Presidents in Mexico are limited to one 6-year term of office, but he remains hugely influential in the country and in the Morena party.
The former US President Donald Trump has flown to Miami, where he's due to appear in court on Tuesday to face federal criminal charges. He's accused of hoarding secret documents after he left office and obstructing officials who try to recover them. You're listening to the latest world news from the BBC. The Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi has vowed to boost trade between his country and Venezuela during a visit to the South American nation. Following talks with President Nicolás Maduro in Caracas, Mr. Raisi said the aim was to boost bilateral trade between their nations to $20 billion, up from the current $3 billion. A British woman has been jailed for more than 2 years for taking abortion pills after the legal limit. Carla Foster, a mother of 3, lied to obtain them through the post during the COVID lockdown. A court in the city of Stoke-on-Trent heard she was between 32 and 34 weeks pregnant when she took them. The legal limit is 24 weeks. The sentencing has sparked outcry among some women's rights organisations and campaigners. Stella Creasy, a member of Parliament for the opposition Labour Party, campaigned to establish women's access to abortion as a human right.
I don't understand in whose interests this case was, and we have to remember there's been a number of investigations, 67 I believe in the last 10 years, under this legislation, which is a hangover from the 1800s, that puts having an abortion on the same par as using gunpowder to blow up a building.
Reports from Israel say the government has told the United States it will soon announce plans for thousands of new homes in settlements. An Israeli official has been quoted in local media as saying the plans include at least 4,000 housing units in several existing settlements in the occupied West Bank. There are reports the US is trying to put pressure on the Israeli government to hold off on the announcement or scale it back. The UN cultural agency UNESCO says the United States wants to rejoin next month. Donald Trump withdrew the US in 2018, alleging UNESCO was biased against Israel. Washington provided almost a quarter of UNESCO's budget, but its payments were suspended when Palestine was admitted as a member in 2011. And that's the latest BBC World News.